And welcome, everybody. This is the first live episode of Hollywood Kitchen of 2024. I still do not have a kitchen table in my new place, and I just have a lot of boxes. So thank you to Danny, my friend and collaborator, for letting me once again use your historic home.
Anytime.
Yes. And once again, we're going to do another episode today about the legendary May Wong. And this is her niece and namesake, Anna Wong. It has been 3 years since our last episode, which I cannot believe. And boy, do we have stuff to talk about. We have so much to talk about. I don't even know where to begin with how much we have to discuss.
It's been the several years of May Wong since we last met.
Yes.
And by the way, I encourage everyone to watch the original one where we go into the breadth of May Wong's amazing career. Today we're going to talk a little bit about that, but more about other stuff that's been happening.
Yeah, it's been a whirlwind, and my family and I are so excited. Well, let's start out with I don't know if anybody's lately using actual real money, but if you've actually gotten a quarter, you might have gotten a quarter with Anna May Wong's face on it. The U.S. Mint has put Anna May Wong, she's the first Asian American to be on a U.S. coin. This is what they have to be collectors, and it's hard to see, but her face is really, really on a quarter.
I'll hold this up for the screen so people can.
It's gorgeous and thrilling every time I get an May Wong quarter.
Yeah, so that's her face, and that was super exciting about that. In fact, I've had people reach out to me and say, oh my God, and they send me a picture. Look, I got a quarter when I went to Target, and it's so
Hoard it, don't spend it.
It's exciting. I've had people say that they can't get the quarters anymore. I think the U.S. Mint may have been sold out of these. I don't know. That was super exciting, and the Mint did a very nice presentation at Paramount.
Danny and I were both.
Yes,
You guys were there. Yes, we had
we all had quarters.
Yes, yes, you did. It was a great turnout. And I'm just so proud of this. This was one thing. And then another thing that happened recently was for those of you that are into toys, Anna May Wong is now a Barbie doll. Okay. She's one of the limited edition Inspiring Women series. It's hard to tell the
Here, I'll show it to the camera so
Gorgeous.
people can see.
Beautiful dress.
And in the back, she has that a little bit of biography about her.
Everyone's rushing online right now to try to buy one.
And by the way, this sold out in like
Yes.
a nanosecond.
Yes.
I could not get one. A lot of people couldn't get one.
This was crazy because Mattel did a pre-sale link, and it sold out, I think, within maybe less than a week. And they did a second run, and that sold out as well. I will find out if they're doing a third run. I think there might be a few. Okay, don't get one on eBay. They're going for a huge amount of money. But they're also it's amazing. I was so thrilled about this because I personally think it came out really, really well. Her face came out. Funny story about this is that the skin tone of Barbies are very different.
Pale.
They're very different, and there was a sample that they showed me that you could look at, and some of them were very, very dark, and some of them were very, very pale. And I'm thinking, I don't know what to do, because clearly the ones that are very, very dark, we just said, well, that's not going to work. And but this one I think came pretty close. And her dress is based out on a black dress that she has worn in film, and it has a dragon design on it. And this is a gold thing. She has gold shoes that are in there as well. And on the back, there's a little biography, the biography of her, so you can read about it. I have seen, my friends have sent me pictures of this displayed in Barnes and Noble, and different toy stores and things like that. To me, and to my family, I know that it's just amazing that when I was a child, Barbies all had blonde hair and they didn't look Asian. And the fact that now she's a Barbie, and Asian girls and all girls everywhere, and boys, it doesn't matter. All children can play with a doll that's not specifically blonde hair and blue eyes.
And I think that how fast this sold out shows the appetite and the level of interest in this. You know, there's clearly a need for diversity in these products.
Yeah, and that doll series, American Girl series. Okay, I don't know if you guys ever seen that. But first of all, American Girl things are hugely expensive.
Sure, my daughter had some.
Yes, and they're like you have to buy the whole series, but they don't. They just recently came out with African American Girl, I believe and they do have an Asian one now. But she, in my opinion, and maybe I'm wrong, she doesn't look. She does look Asian, but she doesn't look Chinese. And for me, being Chinese, yeah. But anyway, so yes, this is another important thing that was really wonderful by Anime Wong. The other thing that's been happening too lately is that Anime Wong is still popular after all these years. She now has a little corner in the Smithsonian Museum in Washington, D.C., which you can go in and see. There's a gorgeous photograph of her. There's some items there. It's in their new wing. And it's amazing to me that she would have been 119 or 20 this year. Yeah, where's your historian son waiting? Danny's son knows everything and how old people are.
Especially Anime One, he loves.
And anyway, so she's the fact that she's still making history after I think she would have been 119 or 120. And that to me is something that's, I mean, I know all of old Hollywood does maintain their longevity, but I don't know. I just think it's amazing that she's
having a cultural renaissance. I mean, there's no other way to put it.
And it was after we met that I think it was that fall where they had the Anime Wong Film Festival at the Academy Museum that we went to with you. Charles went too, and I mean, God, Toll of the Sea, Pavement Butterfly, Piccadilly. Guys, these films, I had seen Shanghai Express and maybe one other one last time we met, and I was already entranced with your aunt, but these were something else.
And that's another thing, a lot of films back in those days were black and white. One of my aunt's first films, Toll of the Sea, when she was like 17.
Rips your heart out.
Yeah, it's a very sad story. In fact, my 20-year-old niece, when we saw it in San Francisco at the Silent Film Festival.
Where they've been showing a lot of Anime Wong too.
Correct, in the Castro district. And I was they were very gracious and asked me to introduce the film. And my she wasn't 20 at the time, but anyway, she was crying at the end. But anyway, what I was trying to say is that all those movies are black and white, but Toll of the Sea, they colorized it. And to me, I don't know of any, you guys know this, are there any other black and white movies of that time period that have been colorized?
And you mean colorized at the time?
Correct.
They did, yeah.
Well, now they've colorized it for people to see the colorized version of it. Is there any, I don't know.
Well, there's they did occasionally shoot movies in I think it was like a 2-strip technicolor, but it wasn't all the time. It was kind of a sporadic thing. Like Douglas Fairbanks' The Black Pirate is in that kind of technicolor. There was some early Warner Brothers 30s movies, Mystery of the Wax Museum, Dr. X with Fay Ray. Both of those were in that kind of technicolor. King of Jazz. So it came around, but it wasn't the norm. It was kind of the exception at that time.
Right. And for them to redo one of their films in color and re-show it that people can see. I think now you see if they're going to a film showing of Toll of the Sea, it is the colorized version, I think.
I'm gonna have to look into whether or not it was shot in.
I'm pretty sure there were color sequences in it originally, which is why they're doing it. And also Piccadilly, I remember that gorgeous restoration. I'm just so glad they're working on these because as you well know, a lot of those films were lost forever. Probably some of your aunts too. I'm not sure.
Yes, that is correct. And I mean, after some of these films must be close to 100 years old.
Oh,
more. Correct. And the quality of those films don't translate well into not all. That's why not all of our films are digitized, because you can't transfer them into digital media, unfortunately. And that's why these old film festivals are so important, that you can actually see these things.
And even the later ones, I was so happy we saw, what's it called, Daughter of Shanghai.
That's one of my favorites.
That was so great too, which is that was much later.
That was much later, yeah. That's one that was one of the first films that she had an Asian co-star, Philip.
Right. And they are just the leads. And I
Yeah,
mean, it's
the
just
leads,
so
yeah.
unusual even now to see.
Yeah.
That was a
Yeah.
thrill.
That's actually that and Pavement Butterfly are my top two movies of hers. Daughter of Shanghai because of her relationship with her father, and I was very close to my father. And Pavement Butterfly because, like we were talking about earlier, she's happy. She's on the screen all the time. She's not playing an evil, tragic seductress or someone that gets killed in the first 20 minutes. You know, so yeah.
So I have a question. There's also a new biography coming out about Anna May Wong, and this is the first, if I'm not mistaken, the first one that has been approved by the Wong family. So can you tell us about this?
It is called Not Your China Doll by Katie G. Salisbury. It will be available. She's doing some book tours. We don't have a cover it, but anyway, approved by the family is something. It's not an autobiography, first of all. It's about a period of Anna May Wong's life. It's very, very interesting. There is still no approved autobiography from my
biography.
Autobiography, yes,
Of her whole life.
Of her whole life, correct. But now Katie, who I met and I adore, she's a very talented writer. She and I met and actually at an art gallery, a showing of, she's a very talented photographer as well. And so she told me she was writing a book. This is pre-pandemic, you guys. So it's taken her a while, but you know, it's a lot to. It's very well researched. Lots of footnotes, lots of and I've given permission to use some of my family photographs in the book.
And which period is it about her life?
It's you should read the book, Danny.
I will. I can't wait to the event in April.
Yes, exactly. Yes, in fact, Chinese American Museum will be hosting a free event book signing for her, and we can always, if you need the information, we can get it to you.
Oh yeah, March, not April.
Yes, March, and then there's going to be some in April. But it's a book that I feel is, for once, the author is actually wants to get truth in their facts and truth in their information and write it the right way. That is why I was so excited when I found out she was going to be doing it. I would think that hopefully at one point someone would write a biography about her and that my family and I would approve. However, we've had several people reach out to us and they're just not the right person.
You're right.
We understand second language. So they're not the right person. But yes, Not Your China Doll will be out on March the 12th. There will be several book signings in New York and book signings here in Los Angeles. If you would like to attend, we can get you the information. But that's very exciting. And there's a couple other books. Daughter of the Dragon, Yonche Hong, and I met him at the last film festival we went to. And that one's out. And there's another one that's out. And I believe Russell Gow Hodges is re-releasing his book, Daughter of a Laundryman. I've never met the gentleman, but there's been a bunch of books written about it. And then actually there's some children's books.
I've seen the children's
books. There's some children's books written about her, which I think is so exciting because children, you know, they have those board books and things like that, and they can read about her. And I think that's very exciting too, because
as long as I get the facts right.
Yeah, well, yes, that's true. And I think I've seen a couple of them and I think they're all right. And they're nice, those nice big colorful pictures so a child can read it and learn about things like that. And, you know, Chinese history is very interesting. Like, for example, Chinese New Year was recently.
But tell us about Chinese New Year, because we kind of wanted to celebrate it with this episode. I don't know much about it. So tell us about the holiday, what you do with the holiday, and the special traditions involved.
Chinese New Year is, or actually now it's very PC to say the Lunar New Year because it encapsulates everybody, all the Asian.
You can call it whatever you want. You're Chinese American.
Well, I'm Chinese, so I've always called it Chinese New Year. Gong Hei Fa Choi. That's Happy New Year in Cantonese. Chinese New Year is a period where it's not. It doesn't happen like in American. It doesn't happen Chinese January the 1st. It's off the lunar calendar. And it always changes. You never know what it could be in January, it could be in February, it could be late February, it doesn't matter. This year it was on February the 10th. It is the year of the dragon, which humble brag, Anna May Wong was born the year of the dragon, so was I.
Yeah.
And they have the Chinese have a 12 astrological symbols. They're all of animals. The ox, the sheep, the dog, the rat. And depending on what year you're born in is how you figure out what you are. And May Wong and I are dragons. And there's several people eat a lot. Lots of you celebrate. There's some technique, like for example, you're not supposed to. You have to sweep your house. It sweeps all the bad spirits out and things like that.
Oh, interesting.
And there's a lot of food. Like for example, you should always have noodles during your Chinese New Year dinner. You need to eat the noodles symbolize long life. So you need the longer the noodle, the better. So you need the noodles. And there's all kinds of things you need to do for the new year. It's also a time when children get little red envelopes. And
oh yeah.
Those little red envelopes are I don't get them anymore because I'm married. You get once you're married, you don't get them anymore. And they have money in them. It's very important that children get that money. There's a lot of fireworks, and then there's the dragon parade. Was just happened yesterday in Los Angeles, Chinatown. The dragon parade is symbol. I don't know if you guys ever seen a dragon parade.
I've seen pictures and videos.
It's nothing like seeing it in person. There are people that hold up they have like these pajamas that are different, so usually yellow or red, and they hold up the dragon head, and there's actually make a dragon that dances in the parade. It's very symbolic.
Wow.
Yeah, so Chinese New Year is very important. It's our biggest holiday. And you eat a ton of food. You spend time with the family. There are certain things you don't talk about that because it's bad for the spirits.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Just anything negative, you mean?
Yeah, like for example, death. You don't talk about things like that. No. And children run around and they get a lot of leeway and money. Yes, it's true. Oh my God, my nieces and nephews used to get like
break it in.
Yeah, exactly. Because sometimes you give them $5, sometimes you give them $20.
Whoa.
Yeah, no, when we were kids, we had this one aunt, my Aunt Lou, who was my older sister, my aunt Aunt May. She used to give us $20 each, and at the time, yeah,
that was like a lot of money back then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because well, I'm old, but yes, back then, correct, 20. But now, I mean, sometimes you give kids $5, but the little red envelopes are really fun.
You can give them May Wong quarters.
You could,
right?
Yes, you could give them little quarters. However, all my nieces and nephews, they have a quarter. Luckily, and they haven't lost them. But yes, the quarters are fun. It's a very fun family time. And there are certain things. Some people are more traditional, and some people are more superstitious than others.
Okay.
My family isn't very superstitious, but there are certain things you're supposed to do, and I kind of believe in them. I mean, you raise that kind of thing, but it's just a family. It's a really fun family gathering. It's a really fun family time. It's important.
Wow.
It's one of the best holidays. It's so much fun, and you can eat so much food.
Speaking of food,
yes.
Now this recipe, I love it. Whenever I do a Hollywood kitchen, and my guest says, "You know what? Why don't we just do something from my family?" Because I feel like that is going to be so much more culturally authentic and more authentic than what a publicist could have generated in like a 1930s.
Yeah, like May Wong chop suey.
Yes,
yes. Never eaten by May Wong.
Yeah, I know. I felt the need to show you all of that in the last episode, just for historical.
Those tea cakes were great, though, that we made.
Yes, tea cakes. Yes, the first episode of Hollywood Kitchen, Carrie reached out to me and she said, "I found this recipe, May Wong chop suey," and I looked at her and I was like,
I think your exact words were, "No way in hell would my family eat this." And I said,
Okay.
fair.
Did I really say that? Oh, okay. That's a little strong, but yes. Okay, first of all, chop suey is an Americanized version of something that my family doesn't eat that. But it is an Asian dish, not in my family.
Inspired.
Yes, Asian inspired. It's like we were talking about, the Panda Express orange flavored chicken.
Yeah.
That's an Americanized version of something that's like one of the Panda Express's best sellers, which is fine. I mean, it's great, but there are certain Chinese foods that were, no, we didn't eat the Chinese chop suey.
But when you sent us this, I was like, this is directly from the Wong family.
Yes.
This is something you would have made, you would have eaten.
Yes.
And
yes.
Danny and I are totally on board with what you say we'll do.
Yes, and it's kind of I was explaining to Carrie and to Danny that, and for you people that are watching, I don't know if you guys, when you go to a restaurant and you eat like your steak and you eat your mashed potatoes, and they say, what would you like for dessert? And they bring you a dessert menu. You don't, no, they don't do the Chinese restaurant. They bring you the check, and sometimes you get fortune cookies, and sometimes you get sliced oranges. Or sometimes you don't get anything. Anyways, the Chinese people don't really do a lot of, they don't do chocolate, they don't do a lot of cakes, they don't do a lot of, dessert isn't really a part of the meal. Unless you're in my family where my sisters and I are addicted to chocolate. So my mother used to make this Chinese almond jello. It is a more of a Cantonese thing than Mandarin. It's not very sweet. It is an almond jello. You take basically unflavored gelatin, you add some
Knox Jello. I had to go to 2 routes even to find it because people just don't.
Not as easy to find as it once was.
People make Jello nowadays, and things like
Almond
that.
extract.
Almond extract, yes. You can add vanilla if you prefer. If you don't like, my family always did almond. And it's and then you basically start in with a little milk. And I don't know when it started, but people used to add fruit cocktail to the top, which is the standard basic fruit cocktail you get that has the heavy or
I got the lighter syrup. I should have gotten the heavy.
Yes, okay. So and it's something that my mom used to make for us because it wasn't something, it was dessert but it wasn't something very sweet. So it's something when you asked me for family recipe, I'm thinking, well, we need to have something that we can, pretty much make. And I remember, I remember the almond jello, and I thought, oh, the almond jello, and that's what we made for today.
And I obviously have to make it in advance because then it has to set overnight.
It has to set overnight, yes.
Terrified because is it supposed to be white, Anna? Is it supposed to? And then it was so liquidy, but miracle of miracle. And then you cut it in squares usually, right?
Yes. I will show this close up to the camera.
And these now the vintage glass that Danny provided for us. Yes.
And I made one glassware.
Yes.
And here's our fruit salad. So show us how, I don't even know how much to put on there.
Okay, well, yeah, so basically the Jello, you can do one of 2 things. You can put it in a fancy Jello mold, or you can put it, my mother used to put it in like a pan.
That's what I did.
Put the whole thing in the refrigerator, and it does set overnight. You can set it in a couple hours, but
you grease the pan?
No,
you don't have to.
No,
I
you
wondered
don't
about
have
that. I almost wrote you and asked.
Yeah, no, you don't have to. Just put it. You just put it in there.
Slices beautifully.
Yeah, struggles with Jello in the past. I'm gonna admit that.
Yeah, Jello. Well, all those complicated Jello molds used to have.
Yes.
No. This you just put in a flat pan, and
but it's nice to be able to control the amount of sugar. I'm gonna start making all my own Jello from
now. See, on the recipe that I sent.
Okay, let's discuss the recipe. And could you kind of read off the ingredients and how much is used?
Okay, so it's 1/2 cup of water, 1 package of the Knox gelatin, unflavored, and then 1 teaspoon of vanilla or almond extract.
Usually
and
almond.
then we always use almond, but if you don't like almond or you prefer vanilla, you can use vanilla. But in my family we use almond, and you asked for a family recipe, so we use almond. And then 1 cup of milk. I don't know. In my family we drink full.
Whole.
Yeah.
Use whole.
Whole milk. Thank you. Whole milk.
Yeah.
I don't think you should use skim milk.
You need it.
You need all the
help you can get
the fat.
Yeah, all the fat. Yeah, exactly. And then 1/2 to 1 cup of sugar. Now I don't know how much, Danny, you used in this one.
I doubled it, but so I used a cup of sugar with 2 cups of milk, and I just doubled the whole thing.
So the sugar, that's a thing about when in families that don't like a lot of sugar, you can adjust the sugar, and when you start adding this stuff, the fruit cocktail, it's just something that you add on there, and that's sugar. There's sugar in that, I'm sure. And yes, when we were kids, my sisters and I always used to argue over the cherry.
Oh, we did too.
Yes, exactly. So, and then all you do is you just dissolve the Jello in the water, you bring it to a boil, you add the extract, and you stir it to combine. You add the sugar, you add the milk, and you let it sit there for a couple minutes on low heat. And after that, you just pour into a pan and you just stick it in your refrigerator you can stick it in for like 4 hours, but overnight is better because, and then you can either scoop it into like bowls, or
I just cut it into squares.
Danny has these beautiful squares, which is now covered with the fruit salad, but they're, and then what happens is you serve it, and there you go.
There we go. I want to taste it.
All right, so May Wong Jello toast.
Yes. Oh, whoops, hold on. Okay, yeah, there you go. Clink, 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 clink. Oh, you say you need cherry, that's so nice.
Set it on top.
Mm. Totally refreshing.
Oh my gosh.
It is not like American Jello. It is
No.
it's a little chewy is a bad word. It's firm.
But I like it because it tastes real, not like the chemical
No, there's
compounds.
those
Yeah.
green lime, nuclear green cherry. Yeah.
That's pretty good.
So
Really
it's,
good.
it's a very light dessert, and you don't have to use the fruit cocktail if you don't want to. You can actually use fresh fruit if you wanted to.
But it is yummy with that.
Yeah, fresh fruit, like fresh strawberries or blueberries or whatever. But the whole thing is like, it doesn't even wiggle like regular Jello. But it's something that Cantonese families have always eaten and used, and it's simple. You know, you just put it all together and you throw it in the refrigerator, and there you go. You've got dessert.
Yum.
So, yeah.
Who needs our heavy chocolate cakes? I'm having.
I do, but okay, on some days, and so it's just something that, this is something we've always had.
Well, let me see if we've got any questions coming in from the viewing audience at the moment. Oh, we do have 16 comments. Okay, let me see.
16 comments.
I can't stop eating it.
Chris Rennie says Toll of the Seed was the second film made in Technicolor.
Aha, yes,
okay.
I figured it was.
Monique from Amsterdam. Hello, Monique.
Amsterdam.
Yes, Monique, my friend in Amsterdam.
Oh.
Catherine Boyd from Norfolk, Virginia. Gary Songer, shout out to Gary Songer. He loves hearing about Chinese New Year customs. Fascinating.
Yeah, they're very interesting.
Chris Rennie is a friend of mine from the Art Deco crowd. He knows more about Jello than anybody. So he's watching. His Jello molds are like a work of art.
No, that I'm afraid of.
He is a king of the Jello.
Okay, this maybe isn't real then. Maybe we shouldn't call it Jello. I don't know.
I've seen it called almond jelly a lot when I looked up Chinese American.
Yeah, it is. Well, it's got Joe's in it, so maybe it is Jello. It's not exactly Jello, I guess. Not like the kind when you have your son probably had Jello that was different than this.
Okay, sure. And Eric Johnson is saying, I don't think they ate much dairy either. So tell us about some of the food customs you were talking about earlier, like you said low sugar, not much dairy. Tell us more about what we were chatting about kind of off camera before the episode.
Well, because sometimes, a lot of Chinese families didn't have a lot of meat. Meat was very expensive. So that's why, like, when you go to Chinese restaurants, you have beef with broccoli, and the meat is an accent. And dairy is not really big in China too. Not a lot of cheese, not a lot of brie, Gruyere, Swiss.
The opposite of France.
Of Chinese cheese when I think about
Chinese cheese. Yeah, I don't think there is Chinese cheese. But yeah, that's interesting. Anyway, that's why a lot of Asians can be lactose intolerant. I'm borderline lactose intolerant, but because your body isn't used to that kind of thing, you just don't have it. A lot of Asian people, they have a lot, they don't eat a lot of rice. Like, I think we always just have one gigantic bowl of rice, and you put it in like a little rice bowl, like in the restaurants, and you just kind of eat that. Your plate has the food, and you have the bowl with the chopsticks, and you have a little bit of rice, and then you have the food. It's interesting because Chinese food, and on Chinese New Year, your plate, the table can have anywhere from 15 to 20 dishes. You can have a whole fish, you can have a whole steamed fish, you can have lots of vegetables, lots of noodles, lots of Chinese vegetables. There's some very interesting Chinese vegetables. The lotus root, which is shaped like
so pretty too.
It's like jicama. It's like the white colored jicama, very firm, but it has holes in it. So my mother used to make that. She used to saute that with some Chinese string beans, and broccoli is like not like Chinese. It's not like American broccoli. We call it gailan, and it's very long and has very full leaves. It's not. Sometimes when you go to Chinese restaurants, you see broccoli, and it says American or Chinese. And sometimes, but it's different. I mean, Chinese food, as we all know, is very healthy too, because it doesn't have a lot of meat, doesn't have a lot of cheese. It's not, and if it's cooked in a wok, it's very quickly cooked in some oil, and it's not fried. It's not deep fried. We don't French fries. We don't have deep fried. Some southern things in the South.
We deep fry everything in the South. You go to the South, you look at a menu, and half the vegetables on the menu are deep fried. That's just kind of how we roll.
Healthy, Southern, Jewish. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, everybody has their own food customs, and Chinese food is, as we all know and love Chinese food. Hopefully, everybody out there loves Chinese food, but Chinese food is just something that's the joke around my friends is that I don't call it Chinese food, I just call it food because I'm Chinese. Yeah, but it's just something I've always had Chinese food. When I was a child, I would have dim sum in my lunchbox, and people would be like,
"What's that?
What exactly?" And I would beg my mother, "Why can't I have Twinkies? Why can't I have why can't I have a bologna sandwich?" She's like, "It's not healthy." And I said, "Well, why can't?" And I was so far ahead of my time. I would have like little things of dim sum, little things of noodles, and everyone would look at my lunch, and they would just, "What is that? Why?" And I explained to them, they'd be like, "Hmm." Every Sunday we would go down to Chinatown. My mother would buy her Chinese groceries because we lived in Santa Monica at the time, and there's not really an Asian restaurant or Asian grocery. And to bribe us, my parents would take us out for dim sum and get us little Chinese pastries. So the next day she'd buy enough. So the next day our lunch was dim sum. Nowadays, of course, kids have sushi, dim sum. Like I said, I was so far ahead of my times. But kids would kind of make fun of me, but my mother wouldn't give us Twinkies, bologna. It's unhealthy.
Peanut butter and jelly.
No, we didn't peanut
I
butter.
grew up with flockernutter sandwiches. Do you know what that is?
I've heard about that.
Yeah,
White,
like
that very
marshmallow
white,
cream and peanut butter.
It's
a miracle I'm alive. But I'm so glad we're going to a Chinese restaurant tonight because now you're making me famished.
Yeah, so it's interesting how Chinese food customs have changed, especially things for kids, because nowadays, like we're talking about, kids bring sushi, or maybe not sushi,
Right.
but they bring all kinds of, ethnic, maybe they bring arugula. I mean,
remember that scene in The Breakfast Club, and then it was considered so crazy when Molly Ringwald has her sushi with her chopsticks, and everyone's like, "Oh my God,
what is that?" Yeah, exactly. I mean, so it's been a really fun thing. And
did your dad ever talk about like when he was a kid and with his sister May Wong and all the other siblings, like what their dinner table was like?
They had Chinese. They would have like maybe some gailan, some Chinese broccoli. They would have some obviously rice, and ours wasn't fried rice. We just had really regular steamed rice. They would have some sort of noodles. They probably have they might have some duck boil, which is a barbecue duck. And in Chinese culture, and in Chinatown, when you go to a store, you see the barbecue ducks hanging by their. I'm sorry if I'm offending anybody out there. They hang them by their heads because the heads are still on there. And when you buy them, you pick out which one you want. The guy takes it away, just chops it in little pieces, which we all know where some of those pieces don't make it into your box. And then so yes, you would have duck, you would have all kinds of different, mostly vegetables. And vegetables are good for you and things like that, and all kinds of them. My mom is an excellent cook, a Chinese cook. She would be able to cook all kinds of different foods, and we wouldn't have things like Kraft macaroni and cheese. That's not healthy for you either, Danny.
No, it's still in my colon 40 years.
Yes. So.
Oh, great. But your aunt herself, I mean, just because she was a very busy movie star, probably wasn't. Did she cook?
She did cook, yes. And in fact, she used to have dinner parties.
Oh,
yes, she would have dinner parties. Yes.
If I had a time machine.
Yes, she would love having friends over to it wasn't like a dinner party I guess it was a dinner party, but she would love to have dinner parties over. She would also, during Chinese New Year, since it's Chinese New Year, she would also have people come over and she would explain to them. She would have people that weren't Chinese or people, friends of hers, didn't know a lot about.
Marlene Dietrich, Clark Gable.
All those people that we were just like, yeah, they were regular people that she ran into every day. And she would explain to them, noodles are long life. This is Chinese broccoli, not American broccoli. And she would have, now also Chinese people don't have a lot of alcohol. So it was mostly just food, which I don't have a problem with, but it was just food, and it was just, and she had a lot of, I think when my father was young, he was the youngest out of the siblings out of her family and the family, and he would just sit there and eat, and I can just imagine who he was eating with, his dinner members. You know what I mean? That's like some of them were very famous. Yeah, sure. Yes. And so she did now I don't know how much she did cook. I know she was a fairly good cook. I don't know if she was excellent, but no one died of food poisoning. So I mean, she liked to cook. She liked to entertain. That was one of her things. And food is very important in the Chinese culture. And so if you entertain, there's always lots of food. And I mean, there's sometimes in my family we go to restaurants and we order enough food to feed like 3 tables and plus and have leftovers for
As
like
it
10
should be
weeks.
done.
Yes, exactly. There's so much food. In fact, my husband, when we first started going to Chinese dinners, and he'd be like, my mom would keep ordering, and he'd be looking at me, "Just gonna eat all this food," and I'm like, it's okay, just eat what you can. And he would eat the food, and then there was more would be coming, and the waiter would be putting more in the lazy Susan and figuring it out, and yeah, it's just food. We just eat a lot of food.
So another exciting development since we last saw you, there's a feature film in development. Can you tell
Yes,
anything about
yes.
that? We're very excited.
Yes, it is very exciting. Working Title Films, it's a film company based in the UK. They have decided to do a biopic of Anna May Wong. And they have Gemma Chan, who we all know and love.
Perfect.
Yes, she's has signed on to be Anna May Wong. And personally, I feel like she's more than perfect because my aunt's face wasn't really exactly round like mine. It was more of a heart shaped, and Gemma Chan is perfect for that look. David Henry Wong he's an very famous Emmy winning writer. He'll be writing the script. The script had been in process. Nina Yang Bongiovi will be one of the producers. She's Forrest Whitaker's producing partner. And she focuses on films of people of color, and she's so talented. She's like the nicest person ever. And Gemma Chan is not only beautiful people, but she is charming as well.
Oscar 2026.
Yes, Oscars. Yes,
yes. Which
brings us to the next question. Yes, so the script was being written, and then the strike happened. So in solidarity, we did not continue the script, but I believe the script is now back in motion. So hopefully we're looking to get that done. That does bring us to the Oscars. And as we know, last year, my goddess, Michelle Yeoh, every single time she started with the Emmys and then all the award season, she kept winning and winning for everything, everywhere, all at once. Sorry, I get confused on those everythings. And every single time she won, that was me, people screaming. And then when she won the Oscar, I almost lost my mind. And all the Asians that have won in the last award season, and this I'm sure we're going to do it again. And it's just, to me, I'm so proud that Asians are now in the forefront. They're not the housemaid. They're not the person that kills the main character.
Right.
They are a big focus.
The exotic beauty that.
Right. Who just
opium den.
Yeah, exactly. Who just slithers on. They're not arm candy, you know. And to me, it is my aunt will be so proud of how far we've come. And it's,
if you want to hear my 20-minute rant about the good earth and how Anna May Wong was robbed of her Oscar,
she was.
See our last episode.
She was.
So see the Oscar cook-along episode we did called "They Should Have Won One, They Didn't," and that really stinks. We had a big rant fest.
Although on the same token, I think we ranted against the Oscar that Ryan Murphy gave to Anna May Wong in the Hollywood series, because that was just very confusing.
And people
are still coming up. Do you have the Oscar?
Yes, people ask me all the time, do I have my aunt's Oscar? And I said no, because she didn't win an Oscar.
She wasn't allowed to make that film.
Yes, exactly. And they said, no, I saw Hollywood. I'm like, that was fiction. And in fact, some gentleman told me that I didn't know what I was talking about.
Oh God.
I had to politely excuse myself because I was ready to smack him. But yes, fortunately, my lawyer, if you're listening, he would be able to. I did not smack him. He did not bail me out of jail. But yes, Asians, as we know, have been we're moving along, but there's still so much more we need to do. Asians need to be considered people that can be a forefront leading actor or actress. We need to do all kinds of things like that. That's something that I feel is important. And I mean, Anna May Wong, one of my favorite phrases that I love to say is that, Anna May Wong paved the road for many Asian actors today. We have to remember how hard that road was. And
it's a miracle. I mean, because her films are so fantastic, and you can only wish that she'd been able to make the ones in this country that she should have.
yeah, as we all know, she left and she was so disgruntled with how her place in Hollywood. She left and went to Europe, and she did stage, she did singing, she did TV shows, she did other movies there. And to me, that is just, I am so proud of her tenacity. I'm so proud of the fact that she fought so hard against racism. She fought so hard against the fact that Asians were just pushed in the back burner. She didn't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope to God that some of those genes are in me because
They are.
you guys are so nice. But I want people to know. That's why I do a lot of speaking engagements about Anime Wong, and I love the fact that people come up to me. In fact, one of my friends, she teaches at a private girls' school in the Valley. And her name is Natasha. And hi, Natasha. And so she did a whole what do you call it? A whole bulletin, a presentation, and it's hanging in their library of Anime Wong's Quarter, Anime Wong's Barbie, and articles about Anime Wong. And the kids, especially it's an all-girls school, and the girls were so fascinated to say, wow, she was so pretty, and why do I not know about her? She was famous. Now, of course, the kids are obviously know about her because it's very difficult for me. You might know Anime Wong. If you're a film buff, you know who Anime Wong is.
Sure.
If you could be too young. So people I meet nowadays are too young to know who Anime Wong is because, well, she would have been 119 this year, 120. Yeah, so people obviously aren't around at that time, but yeah, but I'm very proud of you guys because you guys help keep older Hollywood alive and going, and you guys love her movies.
Oh.
You guys are truly, and there's so many of her fans so out there that I truly appreciate every single fan of my aunt's and the fact that people still remember her and they still, oh, look, she's on a quarter. She's a Barbie. I mean, that to me, after all this time,
right.
It's huge.
Yeah, it's so, yeah.
My hope is that some little girl out there might see a quarter, see this doll, have seen the Oscars with Michelle Yeoh, and think this is possible for me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe I can do this too. And that's so powerful when you see yourself reflected like that. That is huge.
There are many talented young Asian actors today, male and female, and I'm hoping that they're going to go all the way. And it's just going to be something that we have to wait. Time will tell. But at least we're in the right direction. We're getting better, bigger parts.
And not just in the specialized movies, which are also great, like Joy Luck Club or Flower Drum Song that your aunt would have been in had she not died.
Passed away, yes.
But just playing different parts.
I actually met Irene Sue, who was in the Flower Drum Song, recently at some sort of gathering, and she said, I was looking so forward to working with your aunt.
Oh.
And unfortunately,
And then they had a non-Asian woman playing that part.
Well, yeah, but she did a good job.
Oh, she was.
Yeah, but my aunt would have been
much different.
Yeah, different and probably perfect, but not that I'm sort of biased, but they had to do something. They had to fill that role, and my aunt passed away, and they're like, yeah.
One other thing I just want to mention again, that we talked about it, just in case anyone knows anything, because there was that TV show. She was the first Asian star of a TV show that there's just not a trace of it. What was it called again?
Oh, Detective. God, why can't I think of it? I've had a very long week.
Yeah, I forgot too, but we can put it in the note.
Was it the Gallery of Madame Sue?
Yes, something like that.
Something like that, yeah. That was a TV show that was filmed. There was only, I think, 8 or 9 episodes, and it did really well. It was a TV show, and a real TV show.
In the 50s, right? Early 50s?
Something like that, yeah. Maybe it was the late 40s, could be, but
gosh.
Possibly. And go back and note it. Now, I've heard several rumors. I've heard rumors that the studio where they were holding the tapes burned down. So naturally the tapes burned down. I've heard that the tapes are somewhere in some archive in some museum in Europe, and no one knows.
Our European guests, look for it.
Look for that archive. Well, it does happen. Things are in archives, maybe mislabeled or filed in the wrong place.
Right. Iceland somewhere or something.
Yeah,
that's where it could be. Now, I'm hoping it's going to be somewhere. So many of our things are just so out there that we never know. she did so many things in Europe and so many things in London and so many things she was on the stage in the UK, and she did, from what I know of, she was excellent on the stage.
Yeah.
And she would also say
fabulous reviews.
Yeah.
Wasn't she in Germany too in those
Yes,
early
yes,
years?
and you know, for those people that don't know this, my aunt taught herself several languages. She learned German. She taught herself.
Wow.
That's so impressive.
Yeah, she was multilingual, and so that's, you know, it's amazing. I thought that she was so talented, and I'm just, of course, I'm a little biased, but
You're not biased. She was so
Not, she
unique and
is,
so
she is.
gorgeous and so talented.
Yeah.
You got to see those early films, because I wonder if they're available online, like Pavement Butterfly or Toll of the Sea.
Pavement Butterfly is a recent release. Pavement Butterfly is BAFTA owns the right, or the, like, Paramount, the rights, whatever. It was recently restored so it can be shown on the big screen. Like, that's the one you and I have seen at the Academy, and you and I have seen in San Francisco. Pavement Butterfly recently, like I said, was restored. For a while, it was a very, very beat up. In fact, Katie, the author of Not Your China Doll, which is dropping on March the 12th, is I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. Pavement Butterfly, in fact, Katie saw that I think she saw it on a VHS tape in BAFTA. It's in a very closed little room, you know, when you borrow material. And she saw it, and so for her, she saw it with us in San Francisco, and for her to see that on the big screen, it was just amazing. Yeah, it was just amazing. Some of her older films, I think I've seen all of her films now. The ones that I think I've seen all of them now. I hope. There are a few, and there's a few, like Toll of the Sea, the color version, it can be bought on Amazon for only like $10, the DVD. So for $10, I mean, it's, yeah.
And tell us about, because I haven't been there yet, but it's on my list. Tell us about your work with the Chinese American Museum in downtown Los Angeles, because you are on the board.
Yes, I was honored recently to become a board member of the Chinese American Museum. It's in downtown Los Angeles.
It's a beautiful museum.
It is a beautiful museum.
I need to get down there.
You need to get down there, yes. It is stunning because there's a lot of history in that. You can tell where that is where Chinatown was literally born. My aunt actually was born in Chinatown, so that's another good thing. There's all kinds of memorabilia and about the history about the Chinese people building the railroad. It's a very it's small, but it's very well done, well put together. And on the third floor is a room that has a mural of my aunt. It is done by the amazing artist Rachel O'Donnell, and it is
stunning.
It is huge. It's
Probably that whole wall.
from the floor to ceiling. Yes, it's very large. And it's one. It gets, and when you go there, you can look at the mural, and remember on the side of the wall, there's QR code for your phone, and you can see her singing and dancing from a different film.
Oh.
Yes, and in fact, we will be having an exhibit about Anna May Wong at the Chinese American Museum in May to coincide with AAPI month. We will also be having a book signing for Katie's book at Chinese American Museum. But Chinese American Museum, we also have several different shows, and it's amazing. Every time I go there, I feel like I learned something new.
You learned so much there.
You learn so much.
And by the way, that mural, remember, because I thought, oh, it's on canvas, because what if this exhibit ends? It's painted on the wall, so they're not allowed.
Yes, Rachel painted that directly on the wall, and I wish I had a photograph of it, but it's directly on the wall, and I told the Chinese American Museum they can never take down that wall, or I would buy the wall, and I think it's a load-bearing wall, so that's gonna be a little bit of a problem. But hopefully it'll never go anywhere, but it does attract a lot of people to come see it. But the Chinese American, if you get a chance to see it, it is amazing. There's all kinds of history, like I said, about Chinatown too.
And just quickly, so the original Chinatown is different than the current Chinatown because they built Union Station, and so they just knocked it all down?
Yes, yes. And in fact, and Chinatown was used, back in those days, Chinatown was used for old movies because of the way
aunt got involved.
Yes, exactly. They used to shoot a lot of old movies there, and my aunt used to not go to school, or as people say, she used to ditch. She did school, and she would go stand there and watch the movies being made. Now, there have been several unconfirmed reports that some directors, you should call her the curious Chinese child, because she would just sit there and stare. And from what I understand from old family folklore, she would watch the films being filmed. She would go home and she would practice what she saw,
taking everything
in the mirror, and she wanted to be an actor. But in those days, you don't become an actor.
Well, daring to dream that she could was huge.
No,
I mean, honestly, now look at her on a quarter.
That's right. That is right.
she's on a quarter.
I think she feels though she'd just be her mind blown if she walked in the room and was like, have a doll at a quarter.
Yes.
Recently produced.
Yes, yeah. I would think that people ask me that question a lot. And I hope my answer does her justice. But in my opinion, I feel like she would be very humbled that people still remember her and people still watch her movies and people still do film festivals about her movies, and people just still are interested in her. And second, that people want to put her on a US coin. People want to have a Barbie dollar. I think she'd be very humbled. And I think then the third thing, I think she'd be completely blown away and so excited the fact that where Asians are today in media, that they can actually get a lead role, and an Asian person has won an Oscar.
Yeah.
Because that to me is where we want to be. We want to be known. I mean, just like we were talking about, the lady that replaced my aunt in Flower Drum Song. Yes, she wasn't Asian and she didn't look like my aunt, but does it matter? Because she did a good job. And just because you look Asian, and you shouldn't, if you're a good actor, you should be able to get the part. And there should be even more than we have today, more films that feature an all Asian cast, because there's so many talented actors and actresses out there, like Michelle Yeoh. Who now has probably had to build a whole new shelf in her house for all of her awards that she had.
Maybe she could have a part in the May Wong film. Figure out some good part.
She's so busy. She just signed on to do something new, and then Gemma has signed on to do some different things, and which I am completely proud of, because that means that they're working.
Yeah, that's
Michelle will come to the premiere at least.
I would love that. Can you imagine? If I met Michelle Yeoh, I would probably just fall over dead from shock. Like, I almost fell over dead from shock when I met James Hong, who's another very talented actor. And I almost, like I said, I almost fell over dead from shock.
Someone here knows Michelle Yeoh. Get her over to Cameron Ramsden.
Be able to talk. I'd just be like,
sometimes when the Asian community is kind of small, and sometimes when I meet famous Asian actors, like for example James Hong or Peter Kwong or certain people like that, I just consider it just blows my mind that I'm actually talking to these people. Now, to me that's an amazing part, that people are still focused on these people that are,
Who was her co-star in Daughter of Shanghai? That wonderful Chinese actor.
Oh yeah, that was Philip Ahn. Yes, Philip Ahn. He was amazing. And in the end, it was a little strange, because that movie at the end, well, for you people who haven't seen it, but remember the
Spoiler
end.
alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert. And that would, all of a sudden they've been together for like what, 2 hours in the movie, and the next thing you know, they're just planning their life together. Now,
it's like a reality show.
yeah, exactly. It's like it's actually so far out over time. But yes, it's true. I think it's, and then like I said, that was the first movie that had 2 Asian co-stars constantly on the screen.
It's really search that one out too. After you look at Toll of the Sea and Pavement Firefly.
Let me see if there's more comments and questions rolling in here. And by the way, if we don't get to your comment or question, the 3 of us can go on Facebook later and interact with people and answer.
Show us your own.
And thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in today. Thank you.
And I will post the recipe. So if other people want to make almond jello from the Wong family recipe.
It's easy and it's delicious.
Okay, it's not okay. We should say it is. Yeah, we didn't invent it. It's just for my family. So yes, there you go. This is the
recipe you guys use.
Yes, is that recipe? Yes, exactly. And for people that have, like, for example, people that have older people in their family, this is very easy for people to eat.
Right.
Like it's very soft, and it's very
Through cocktails.
We got Eric Johnson says, Anna May Wong was honored on a 1991 grenade stamp for her USO work during the Second World War. Yes, I am a stamp collecting nerd. I didn't know that.
Yes, that's true.
You have some of those, I hope.
I don't know.
Oh,
I don't
no.
have any of those.
Monique,
I hope this gentleman does.
my friend Monique in Amsterdam is reminding me they found the Valentino film Beyond the Rocks in Amsterdam at an archive that was thought to be lost for about 80 years. So
80 years.
these things happen.
Might be harder with an old kinescope TV thing, but who knows? Maybe it's out there.
It may be out there. We can go on a treasure hunt, you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. I'll go all over Europe looking for
okay. I'm sorry. It'll be a hardship for you, but you can do it, right?
I'll do it.
Well, we got several people that want to now go see the mural in downtown.
Chinese American
That's
Museum.
gorgeous.
Yes, it is
You
a
took a
little.
picture.
It is a little difficult to find. But it is. And if anybody wants to go, I would be more than happy to set up a tour if anybody would like to go. Because you went on it. I took you on a tour.
Me and Charles.
Yes. It is very. It's a great place. And if anybody would like, I would be more than happy to tour with them. And the executive director, Michael Trong, he is amazing. He knows much more than the museum than me. He was the one that, did he give you the tour?
He did.
Okay.
And it's just to learn about the plight of Chinese Americans in Los Angeles, because it's not always pretty, but it's fascinating.
Yeah.
You just do a Hollywood kitchen field trip.
Have you not been to the museum?
Not yet.
No,
I need
no,
to
Well, we're going now, right?
I know, we need to go.
Yeah. We need
ASAP.
to stop this now because we're going to the museum.
Bye.
Yeah,
But
that's it.
we could organize a field trip. If people live in the LA area, maybe we could go down there or
Yeah.
have lunch in China to organize some kind of outing.
Yeah, and it's not, and it's a 3-story museum, and it's not something that it's super big. It's not like going to the Broad, but it's something that and there is a lot to look at, and it is family friendly. People like Charles. I mean, how old was he when we went there?
13.
13. Yeah, and he was interested in it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very.
And children, and sometimes we have children, like we had a boba show exhibit recently. That was, kids love that. But yeah, it's a very.
I like that it's smaller because you can just see it all.
Yes, it is smaller, and typically there's not an entry fee. We just ask for a donation. So last time I think last time I took the Chinese American Asian advocacy group of Santa Monica, we went and we did the same thing. We did dim sum. We went to the museum, and we just had everybody donate anywhere from $5 to $10, whatever they feel comfortable, and then we just donated it to the museum.
And if I recall correctly, I think it's in one of the only existing buildings from the original Chinatown.
Yes,
right?
the Pico House. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And there's an old school firehouse that's
Mhm.
right down the corner that still has the old it obviously doesn't work anymore, but they have the old machinery and that's really interesting too.
Yeah. This is all good for families.
Yes. And there's going to be, if anybody wants to go to Chinatown for the Spring Fest, which is another part of the Lunar Festival, there's going to be all kinds of, in Chinatown, there's going to be all kinds of family events, arts and crafts. There's probably going to be a lion dance, then that's going to be free too. And if anybody, I can post the information if anybody wants me to.
Now, your aunt and dad lived in the Chinatown we know today. I'm trying to remember the time period.
Kind of out. Well, it's hard to explain because if you know Chinatown, where they live doesn't exist anymore.
Oh.
My grandparents owned a laundry, which back in those days was one of the few businesses a Chinese person could own. So my family, my aunt and her siblings all grew up in the over above a laundry,
Mhm.
and they all worked in a laundry. So
Wow,
can you
but that
imagine-
building was totally
Oh yeah,
gone.
it's
Oh,
been gone for
shame.
years. Yeah, it's been gone for years. I mean, that whole thing in Chinatown just got redesigned for many different reasons. But old Chinatown is not. I mean, I don't think there's anything old Chinatown left. I could double check, but I don't think there's anything left,
Mhm.
which is sad.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm glad the Chinese American Museum is there, because that Pico House that's like the only thing left.
Yeah. It's
So
important to remember the origins and
yeah, and it's like I said, it's a fun thing to do with Chinatown, and that's why I'm hoping that more people will understand that Chinatown is like I said, my family used to go every weekend. And it's especially yesterday for the lion dance and the Chinese New Year parade. Oh, it must have been crazy. It was so crowded. My friend sent me a video. She goes, "Look, all these people." I could not go yesterday, but yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
Well, excellent. So thank you so much.
Thank you for
joining
having
us.
me.
Return guest.
Yes, thank you for everything that you are doing to keep anime's legacy alive. You are a tireless advocate for her, and that is so greatly appreciated.
Thank you. And thank you for all the fans out there that are fans of hers. And thank you for having me. And I truly, it's my mission in life to keep her legacy alive. It is what I want to do, whether it's by film or doing these kind of things or quarters. Now my next mission is to get her on a $1 bill.
There we go.
Hey,
Yeah.
$20 bill.
20, no, that's reserved for Harry Tubman.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah,
Come
I
on,
can't-
it's time for that one already.
Yeah, I can't take away Harry Tubman.
Okay.
I have to, how about a $1 bill or $5?
Perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
we'll take what we can get.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you guys
Thank
so
you.
much for
Thank
watching,
you.
everybody. Again, we'll try to answer questions on Facebook if we didn't get to you. And thank you so much. Please continue to join us for more food, fun, and film history from Hollywood Kitchen.
Cheers.
Bye.